And yes, if you put ketchup in it, you're not welcome in the city, I'm sorry to say. Deep dish pizza isn't real pizza and this, that, the other. Like, I think it's ridiculous, honestly. There's a piece of bread under there. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. Oh, wait, we'll wait for that train to pass. Oh, there's fries in here if you guys want. What's good, YouTube? It's Louis Gusto. Welcome back to my channel. Chicago is world famous for so many things, but perhaps most of all, its iconic food scene. With Michelin-starred restaurants and cuisine from every part of the world, this is literally a food lover's paradise. But today, it's all about the 10 most iconic Chicago foods. We're gonna be taking you all over the city, eating sandwiches, pizza, and a bunch of surprises. But before we start eating, you already know what to do. Go ahead and finesse that like button and subscribe for more travel content. We are kicking off our Chicago food adventure with a stop to Ann Sather. It's been around since 1945 when Ann Sather herself purchased this restaurant from the original Swedish owners. They serve breakfast all day long, but we're not here for the breakfast items, I'm sorry to say. As good as they are, we do have some eggs, some hash browns, and all that stuff, but what we're here for is the iconic cinnamon rolls. These are the most famous cinnamon rolls in all of Chicago, and they look absolutely delicious, so we're gonna dig right into them. Ann Sather is one of the only spots where you eat dessert before the main course. These cinnamon rolls are so fluffy. The cinnamon flavor is incredible, and the icing is amazing. It's a lot of icing. It looks a little bit intimidating, but it's really not super sweet to where you feel like it's not good.
I could smell these cinnamon rolls as they were bringing it to our table, and I could barely wait. The rest of their food is great too, but this is the reason to go here. The way they drizzle the icing though, it's like all over the place.
Yeah. The hot dog is one of Chicago's most iconic foods. We're here at Byron's. They get their Chicago-style hot dog, an all-beef Vienna beef hot dog on a poppy seed bun with mustard, onions, green relish, sport peppers, pickles, fresh tomatoes, all topped off with celery salt. Why are we in Chicago so adamant about not putting ketchup on our hot dogs? It's because we have fresh tomatoes. I don't care in what situation you're talking about. Fresh tomatoes are always better. And yes, if you put ketchup in it, you're not welcome in the city, I'm sorry to say. A big part of why we're doing this video is because we're preserving Chicago culture and history. So many chain restaurants are popping up, but we're all about supporting local businesses. Byron's has been around since the 1970s, and we want to keep it that way. All right, so it's time to bite into this Chicago-style hot dog. It's a jumbo, and I don't know how we're gonna get this done, but we are gonna get it done.
I love me some Chicago-style hot dog. Beautifully colorful, lots and lots of ingredients, and most importantly, they are delicious.
Our next stop is for an Italian beef at Mr. Beef on Orleans in the River North neighborhood. This is an iconic Chicago food created by Italian immigrants in the early 19th century. Now you can find them all over Chicago. The way to order it is with hot peppers and extra dip. That's the way I get it, and I think it's perfect like that. By the way, this isn't a neat food. Make sure you have lots of napkins, wet wipes, hand sanitizer, whatever you need, because you're gonna get your hands messy. The flavor of the beef is incredible. And with the juice in there, soaking into the bread, little spicy kick from the hot peppers. It's such a simple sandwich, but the flavors are so elegant, and that's what makes it an iconic food. We had to make a stop to Garrett's Popcorn. This is a Chicago tradition going all the way back to 1949, and a lot of people don't know that it was started by a woman. Oprah named this as one of her favorites in the mid-2000s. I can't remember exactly what year. What Garrett's is famous for is their freshly popped popcorn. They make them in small batches. Basically, when you go in, you're gonna come out with a fresh bag of popcorn. The most famous thing to order is the Garrett, AKA Chicago Mix, caramel and cheddar. You can order it. They will make that batch right before they send it out to you, wherever you might live in the world. There are a couple of international locations as well as locations all around the city of Chicago. This is one of those mixes that you wouldn't immediately think go together, but they really do. It's a perfect balance of flavors. You got sweet, you got salty, you got crunchy.
Every bite is going to be a little bit different because sometimes you get the caramel corn, sometimes you get the cheese. For visitors to Chicago, this is a favorite souvenir to bring home. Pins that you can buy, a little bit of memorabilia even after the popcorn is gone. I used to wait for whoever was visiting Chicago to come home with a bag of Garrett's popcorn.
Harold's Chicken started out in 1950, founded by Harold Pierce and his wife on the South Side, and since then they have expanded to locations all around the city. And of all the places that we're stopping on this top 10 Chicago food list, this is the one that's the most debated. There's always a debate on which is the best, but this is the South Loop location, number 88, aka Chicken Meets Beer. You got the mild sauce and the hot sauce. You want to drizzle it on top of the chicken. The chicken is made to order and it's so crispy. By the way, the fries aren't so bad either. There's a piece of bread under there. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. Chicago style fried chicken is that fried chicken with the sauce drizzled on top. Makes it extra delicious. Of all the foods we're eating today, the deep dish pizza is perhaps the most iconic in Chicago. This is the one that tourists are going straight for, even if they're only here for one night. And Lou Malnati's is a perfect place to get a classic Chicago deep dish pizza. Rudy Malnati worked at Uno's and is said by some to have created the deep dish recipe. In any case, one of his sons founded the Lou Malnati's franchise, and the rest is history. You might be wondering how in the world I'm eating so much food today, but we actually have friends with us to help us handle all this food. So I finally watched that Jon Stewart video where he's ranting about how deep dish pizza isn't real pizza and this, that, the other. Like, I think it's ridiculous, honestly. Like, this is a pizza. We have the classic Lou Malnati's butter crust deep dish pizza with pepperoni.
I'd say there are three notable things about this pizza. The butter crust, the sauce, and it's so cheesy. The Chicago deep dish pizza has been made world famous. When you think of iconic Chicago foods, that would have to be what I think is the first thing that comes to mind.
The Polish sausage is another iconic Chicago food that you have to try. Jim's Original is a relic from the heyday of the Maxwell Street Market. They've been around since 1939. And what you want to get here is a Polish sausage sandwich with onions, mustard, and a hot pepper. Those grilled onions are incredible. They bring so much flavor to an already flavorful sausage. It has an incredible snap to it. This is just such a classic Chicago food, one that you have to try. Oh, there's fries in here if you guys want. Mexican food is undeniably associated with Chicago. You can get some of the best Mexican cuisine anywhere in the world right here in the Windy City. And tacos are probably number one. La Pasadita is one of my personal favorites, although you can get tacos everywhere in Chicago. Today we got a pollo and a barbacoa. These are just simple tacos with some cilantro on double corn tortillas. You put a little hot sauce on them. Perfect food, whether you're really hungry or you just want a light snack. Freshly made tortillas, nice and soft, good cilantro flavor, and that beef is so tender.
Tacos are one of Chicago's most iconic foods because you can get the traditional tacos like we're eating today. There are also several spots around the city that do fusion tacos, like Korean tacos. Chicago is definitely a taco capital of the world.
Of all the iconic Chicago foods that we're eating today, the jibarito sandwich is perhaps the least famous outside of the Windy City. Puerto Ricans have formed a major part of Chicago's culture. Now, if you go to Puerto Rico and ask for a jibarito sandwich, chances are they're not really gonna know what you're talking about. This is a Chicago food through and through. One of the best places to get the jibarito sandwich is right here at La Bomba restaurant. It's not bread, but rather fried plantains, AKA tostones. Inside, you got lettuce, tomato, onion, and some great steak. The steak and the onion, perfect combination of flavors. Delicious sandwich invented right here in Chicago. Now we have to narrow our Chicago iconic food list to just 10, but there are so many more iconic foods. If you want to see a part 2, definitely let me know in the comments below. The piece de resistance of our top 10 most iconic Chicago foods is the tavern style pizza, and you can't really do much better than Vito and Nick's on the South Side. They've been making pizzas for almost 100 years. This is the famous thin crust. I talked about this many times before. This is Chicago's most famous pizza. This is what locals are eating. Deep dish is once in a while when relatives are over, or just a once in a while treat. But tavern style thin crust, this is what we eat on a regular basis. And what we have here is the iconic Chicago special. Italian sausage, green peppers, and onions. Occasionally they'll throw mushrooms on there. I don't mind them too much, but I really prefer it without. We've had a lot of Chicago foods today, all iconic in their own regard. For me, tavern style has got to be the best one. Look at that square, perfectly cut, got a nice thin crust. What really makes a great tavern-style pizza is that crunchy crust. There are so many spots around the city to get traditional Chicago-style tavern pizza, but Vito and Nick's is among the best. You know we had to do it big for this video, so cheers. Well, that was quite a crusade through classic Chicago cuisine. Thank you for watching. Peace and blessings.